Right, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, it's Antony Carpen here on a very hot sunny day. For those of you who don't know, I run the Cambridge Town Owl blog, which basically comments on all things happening in local democracy and development planning in Cambridge, and I also run the local history site Lost Cambridge. Now, with all things Science Park, I can't pretend it's my favourite sort of architecture, if I can put it that way, but I've just come from the Cambridge Wide Open event with the Chief Executive of the Science Park, Jane Hutchins, and she gave a really interesting presentation on not just what the Science Park has brought to Cambridge, but also the challenges it faces in terms of dealing with several of Cambridge's chronic problems, including the huge inequalities that we have and the lack of facilities, not just across the Science Park but also just across North Cambridge generally. Now, behind me you can see the garage site, which has both car sales and car rentals. Now, one of the things that central government is going to be doing by the year 2030 is it's going to be banning the sale of new fossil fueled cars, with the aim of phasing them out completely, which means that for all of the motoring companies it's going to mean a big change for business models in particular. Now, one of the things I've called for with the redevelopment of basically this part of Cambridge, because we've got the North East Area Action Plan kind of basically behind me on the other side of the Science Park, is to build a new large leisure facility where the motoring businesses are as a long-term alternative. In particular, I've said I'd like to see a swimming pool built on this site, whether as a Lido or whether as an indoor swimming pool, and ideally name it after Clara Rackham, who spent much of her time as a councillor campaigning for a swimming pool, and just before she passed away in the mid-1960s she finally got her wish when Parkside opened, but it was about half a century's worth of campaigning. So if we're going to get a new large swimming pool in Cambridge, for me this place is an ideal site in the medium to long term, because it serves all of the villages along the busway. It serves King's Hedges, which is one of our most economically deprived wards, not just in the city but in the county. It also serves the North Cambridge Academy. It serves Cambridge Regional College, which is 2 stops down that way. It also serves, as well as the staff and workers on the Science Park, it also serves the business parks over on that side, and also North Cambridge Station. Mindful that there are further developments happening in that part, with Cambridge's most favourite controversial developers, Brookgate, the less of which said the better as far as I'm concerned. But in the grand scheme of things, because Cambridge is really reinforcing this idea of the city as being a regional centre, my take is that we should be building on large sites that are likely to become available over the next 10-15 years. We should be building that sort of regional civic, leisure, arts and sporting infrastructure that, in the grand scheme of things, our city desperately needs. Because if we look at the census records, we see that Cambridge's population has increased from around 100,000 from when I started secondary school in the early 1990s to around 150,000 today, which is a significant population increase. Furthermore, as was mentioned in Jane's talk earlier today, there are inevitably issues about the environmental and natural limits to growth. We discussed things like the challenges provided by the water shortages, and also one of the other challenges is electricity supply. At the moment, the national grid's infrastructure is just not big enough to cope. Anyway, there should be a bus coming this way, so I shall finish here.